Good morning to all in Paxabon. I'm Joseph de Rosario and I'm here to present you an argumentative speech entitled Tax Evasion is a Form of Civil Disobedience. As citizens of this country, we are responsible to abide with the laws and duties provided by the government, and one of which is to pay due tax. Tax is a form of mandatory financial charge that is given by the government. The percentage of tax being mandated by the government may vary depending on the country in which they are in. For the Philippines, citizens, non-resident citizens, overseas contract workers, alien individuals, domestic corporations, and foreign corporations must pay tax on all incomes derived from sources within and outside of the Philippines, which is according to the Tax Reform Act of 1997. For many, they are not ecstatic when it comes to paying tax. In addition, it is not a choice whether to pay tax or not, because it is mandatory. However, there are many ways in order to be excused or avoid to pay taxes. Some may be legal and some may be illegal. The legal way of avoiding tax is otherwise known as tax avoidance. And people who are exempted from paying tax are minimum wage earners and subjected to substitute filing. On the other hand, the illegal way of avoiding tax is called tax evasion. Tax evasion, according to Investopedia 2018, is an illegal practice wherein a person, organization, or corporation intentionally avoids paying tax liability. Having to avoid tax liability are subject to criminal charges and penalty in lieu of the Philippine law. There are many reasons why people resort to tax evasion. According to Christensen 2017, there are three central factors of why people fail to comply to paying tax. First is the level of wealth. Being wealthy greatly increases the probability of tax evasion. Being wealthy means that they have more capability to evade. Next is the tax rates. Having higher tax rates would greatly increase the tendency of evading tax. Last is the audit probability and penalties. Often do people assess first on how they will be punished or easily be caught when evading tax. If there is a higher chance of them being audited and would get them caught, then it is less likely that they would commit tax evasion. However, if the risks are low, then they would commit to evasion. With this said, an argument arises. Is tax evasion a form of civil disobedience? As a citizen of this country, I must say that indeed, tax evasion is a form of civil disobedience, for it violates many fields, specifically in ethics, economics, and law. Civil disobedience is prioritizing one's conscience over the dictates of the law. It is the refusal of a citizen to abide or obey to certain laws of the state. People have many reasons of why they evade tax. For many, they fail to do such due to financial issues, but for others, they are not at par with the government on how their taxes are being used. Thus, people rebel through means of tax evasion. People would commonly say, why would we pay tax if in the end the government officials will just put it in their pockets and benefit for their own? In ethics, for a person to evade tax would be unfair, not just to others who pay tax, but also to the government. People who avoid to pay tax are not giving financial support to the government, but in return, they attain the luxury and benefits that taxpayers have, such as improved roads, free education, and the like. These benefits are the effects of paying taxes, and people who do not pay tax experience these as well, which would be ethically unfair. Next would be in terms of economics. There are many cases of tax evasion each year. The previous year in 2017 accumulated to about 40 filed cases by the Bureau of Internal Revenue, according to the Philippine Star 2017. One of the top cases would be Pepito Gutierrez Baez, wherein he failed to pay deficiency taxes for taxable year 2010, which amounted to 4.92 million pesos, inclusive of surcharges and interests. There are many taxpayers who fail to pay their taxes, and for some hasn't even been caught. Imagine how much tax could have been received by the government to further enrich the country in terms of agriculture, education, roadworks and railways, and the like. That would foster to job openings for the poor and a better lifestyle for the country. But due to such people, we fail to do such. Lastly would be the main reason behind why tax evasion is a civil disobedience. It is because it is against the law. Looking back, civil disobedience refers to disregarding the law in order to follow the conscience of oneself. This act in itself is already a disobedience of the law, which specifically violates the Tax Reform Act of 1997, in which citizens, non-resident citizens, overseas contract workers, alien individuals, domestic corporation, and foreign corporation should pay tax. Failure to do such would result to penalty, which is presented on the screen. In conclusion, tax evasion is indeed a form of civil disobedience, for it is unethical, would lead to imbalances economically, and is illegal and punishable by law. Civil disobedience refers to disobeying the law, and that in itself is already legal. As citizens of this country, we must be diligent and obedient in abiding with the laws and regulations of the country. Having to do these would show that you are a good and obedient citizen of this country, and would show that you respect what the country asks for. So the next time you file your taxes, make sure that it is accurate and right. Remember to pay your taxes so that in return, we may help the country and at the same time be a good citizen.